Hi YouTube, my name is Vicky and I'm a practicing witch and have been for quite some time, and I would like to respond to Shazoolo's video, is it ethical to cast love spells? Even though he posted this a while ago, I'd still like to throw in my thoughts if that's cool. Well, I'm quite an eclectic witch. I've only ever classed myself as witch or pagan because I don't really follow such a side, although I tend to stick with sort of Wiccan style stuff, but I'm quite open to everything, and I've practiced lots of different things. But I think even the most traditional Wiccans and witches adhere to the three laws of harm none, never interfere with free will, and the threefold law, whatever you do will come back to you threefold. And for those reasons, I never have, and I never will, cast a spell to make someone fall in love with me, because that's ridiculous. I mean, like you say, in Christianity, Christians believe that free will was given to them because God didn't want a little army of robots worshipping him. He wanted free, honest love to come to him, and I think that should be true for love magic as well. While I say that you shouldn't think of anyone specific with love spells, I don't think it's bad to do love spells asking for someone maybe with particular characteristics, as long as you're thinking of someone in your imagination. If can't be someone specific, or you can't be thinking of someone specific when you're doing that. It's not right, because it's basically the same thing. But if you're doing a spell asking someone maybe with, like, I don't know, an interest in horse riding, or enjoys Japanese food or something like that, I don't think that's bad, because you're just asking for common interests. I think an example of this well executed is in, I know it's cheesy in Hollywood, but Practical Magic, where the little girl makes the love spell with all the characteristics of the lover she dreams of, and he finally comes to her in the end. One example of how it can all go wrong, you movie watchers, and I'm a film student, so I'm just going to refer to lots of films, is in The Craft, where Sarah tries to make Chris fall in love with her using dark magic. And that's an example of how it can all go wrong. If you haven't seen that movie, I recommend you watch it, because it does show how if you use magic irresponsibly, it will come back and haunt you. But I think spells that are okay for this sort of thing, for example, in one of the spell books I had that I picked up in a Borders sale before that went into administration, the Spells Bible by Anne-Marie Gallagher. It's the Cherry Stone spell to attract a new lover. Aphrodite's Talisman spell to increase your powers of attraction. Water Wish, a powerful request for love to come into your life. Love Oil, a blend to attract potential lovers. I think these sort of things where you wish for someone to come into your life, or you wish to meet new people, I think that's fair enough. Although I've never practiced that myself, actually, because I always find personally, and fair dues to people who do cast good love spells like that, not the trying to roboticize people ones, I find that love comes to you, proper love, if you're not actually looking for it. And if you truly don't want to find it, it will come and it'll be the best surprise ever. And I found that a couple of times in my life, including currently, which is lovely. You have to truly not expect it, and true love will find you. I also agree with you, Shazoolo, on the thing about people picking up books, and how common it is to find books that are talking about love spells. And while some of them are a bit more ethical, like Kate West's The Real Witch's Book of Spells and Rituals, this shiny thing, she says in her To Find a Partner spell, prior to your working, you will need to give some thought to the characteristics you seek in your future partner. It is a good idea to write these down so that you can check that you are not trying to describe a specific individual, and so that you do not miss something important. But all too often, there are spells on the internet and little spell books in Waterstones and other high street bookshops that have love spells in there are a little bit dodgy. And it does concern me as well that people are just picking these up. And love spells are one of the most popular magical workings that people request witches to do for them, or that dabblers will do. I remember when I was a teenager, there were some, like especially around Halloween, in sort of teen girl magazines, there were bits about spells and sort of spells to make boys love you and things like that. And you know, put your dream boy spell and things like that, and you know, it's giving it to kids. And I also agree that magic isn't really for children. I think the pagan beliefs can be for children, and it's nice if pagans do things as families. For example, like being in little rituals maybe, or sort of safe things, or making things, or giving offerings. But I do not think that people, especially children and young girls, should be casting spells like this. I think it's dangerous, because they don't always understand the implications of what they're doing, which is like why my local pagan moot won't usually have people there until they're over 18, because you know, it should be sort of an adult thing really. I've been doing it for some years and I'm 20 now, but I mean, there's been times in my youth where I've done spells and things did come back to haunt me because I was too young to understand it, and I wasn't so respectful of it because I was young and it was like, oh, let's just do what we want. But now I'm a lot more sort of serious about it. I mean, there's some spells, I'm not sure if people have picked this up, but some sort of commonly available things that people might not understand, but should be, you know, sort of to any adult kind of safe. The Elements Encyclopedia of 5,000 Spells is an example by Judica Isles, and she reads in like the warning section of her page that there's like a whole warning page here, and she says that this book contains an overview of magical spells and practices from a multitude of eras, traditions, and places. It is intended as an inclusive encyclopedia and reference book. Many of these spells contained within these pages are not to be used and should not be reproduced. Not suitable for children, but I think more and more teenagers and dabblers are kind of getting a hold of this thing, so they've been watching a little bit too much Charmed or Buffy or whatever. And there's some really dodgy stuff in here, and I quite like this as a reference book because I'm quite interested in the history of like magic and things like that. I just think it's fun as like a reference book, and there are a couple of good spells in here which are good to do. But some of this stuff is quite dodgy, and if it, you know, it's just literally 10 minutes down the street in Waterstones, you know, anyone could pick it up. And if you search on Waterstones' website, and if you don't know by now, Waterstones is a bookstore in the UK. It's like probably the biggest one. I searched in love spells in the Waterstones website search bar, and I got 381 titles. That's a hell of a lot. And you know, anyone can pick these up. Well, I think, like, just to round off, because I'm rambling a bit, if you're dabbling in this sort of thing, I would recommend that you take it very seriously, and I would say stop and just think about what you're doing and think about the effect that it will have upon people. I mean, I think it's perfectly fine to create a spell with characteristics that you'd want in a lover or ideas and things like that. But if you're trying to target a specific person, it's not good. And I recommend you think again. Well, that's my 2 cents on it. Blessed be, take care, bye bye.